What's going on, everybody? Hope you all had a good Halloween. I know I sure did. I know some of you probably think I'm still in costume, but I'm not. I walk around in public with a Superman shirt. Not ashamed. Not ashamed at all. But, yeah, let's talk some wrestling. And I thought about doing a Turning Point and Survivor Series preview video, but then I realized I really didn't have much to say about either show. Survivor Series is nowhere near being finalized, and given the WWE's recent track record, it won't be fully finalized until the show starts. And you'll just find out as you go what the rest of the matches are. Kind of like a mystery box. And, you know, come on, Vince. If you want me to spend $50 on these things, shouldn't you give me a complete idea of what I'm ordering? Even if it sucks. I mean, come on, give me an idea of what you're trying to do here. Give me something to work with, you know? And Turning Point is, you know, TNA's latest pay-per-view extravaganza is a very lackluster card, I think, looking at it. It's just very bland. And the main event is horrible, because apparently you can earn a title shot just by beating up Eric Bischoff. Which, you know, what the hell happened to that oh-so-brilliant ranking system you had with fan voting? Yes, the fans can choose the contenders. Because, you know, every pro sport in existence does that. Every real sport, you know, because the Dallas Cowboys can totally make the playoffs as long as the fans want it, right? No sport works like that, and wrestling shouldn't work like that. I don't care if it's scripted or not. There should be rewards for winning and consequences for losing, and I like the idea of a ranking system, but TNA's was horribly executed, to say the least. And nothing against Matt Morgan as a talent, but this feels like a Sheamus Jack Swagger situation where he just got rushed to that spot with no build-up. I understand you had to go to Plan B after the Anderson injury, but come on, this is the best you could do? Fuck. I mean, I could have come up with better than that. Put Pope in that spot. There. I mean, he was at least in, like, the title tournament. He was kind of the runner-up, and I guess kind of would have been next in line. And he actually won it Bound for Glory, so there would have been some justification for it. Just saying. But yeah, enough about the pay-per-views. I wanted to talk about the backstage segments in wrestling and why I hate them so much. And I'm not talking about, you know, backstage promos or even segments where it's two of the characters talking to each other or something. I can live with a lot of those, but there are so many backstage segments that just bug me in wrestling today. And it's been a problem for a long time. This goes back to the Monday Night Wars. I believe it started, and I could be wrong, but I don't feel like researching it. I believe it started with the infamous Magic Mirror segment between Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in WCW, where Hogan can see Warrior in the mirror, but Bischoff can't, but the commentators can, and the live audience can. So I'm not sure how that... So is Hogan hallucinating, or is Warrior really in the mirror? I don't know. Are we all crazy? Again, I don't know. And WWE did something similar a few years ago with Randy Orton and The Undertaker, where Orton was hallucinating, and the characters in the backstage segments could not see the hallucinations, but the commentators could, and the live audience could. So, again, it made no sense. And these segments, they've just polluted professional wrestling for a long time. And the reasons they don't work, aside from the fact that they're stupid and display magical power. Some of them display, you know, magical powers or whatever, like the recent Angelina and Katie Lee segments on TNA or on Raw this week. We can apparently see inside Stephanie McMahon's dreams. Whatever, but forget that stuff is stupid. The reason a lot of these segments don't work is because they contradict the rules of the fictional universe of professional wrestling and how the show is established to be presented. In wrestling, you have a bunch of characters, who are the wrestlers, that are fully aware that they're part of an athletic competition that takes place on television every week. They know this. When they're out in the arena, they acknowledge this. They acknowledge the cameras. They acknowledge the live audience that they interact with. I know TNA got in trouble for calling the crowd, quote-unquote, cast members, but they kind of are. They're a very vocal set of extras that interact in the show. And the characters, the main characters, interact with them. And you also have commentators who see everything that we see, and they're able to comment on everything that happens within the show. So, with all of that in place, it really makes no sense to do segments where the wrestlers act like there's no camera there. Or the villain reveals his entire master plan in front of the camera and assumes that nobody's going to know. Or these secrets that are revealed in backstage segments. Why do the wrestlers, they know they're on television when they're out in the arena, but they don't know they're on television when they're backstage, except for a promo. Yeah, when it's a promo, they know there's a camera there, but when they're walking around the locker room talking to somebody, they don't know there's a camera there for some reason. I have no idea how that works. I really don't. It's part of why I've said Kevin Nash is one of the smartest men in wrestling, because he always acknowledges the camera. I'm like, see, he fucking gets it. But, yeah, when I see segments like Triple H revealing his master plan to have Batista run over and get him to face JBL at WrestleMania 21 instead of him, you just revealed in front of the entire world what your grand plan was, and you just assumed that Batista wasn't going to figure it out. If the live audience can see the segments, why wouldn't they just yell? And okay, if the live audience can see it, and the commentators can see it, and they know what went down, why wouldn't somebody just tell Batista? Why, the crowd's going to shout at Batista, hey, Triple H did it, or whatever. You know what I mean? There are just too many contradictions and too many plot holes, I guess you could say. And I could sit here all day and list examples. There was the stuff that, well, using the TNA example, Katie Lee and Angelina. Part of the reason that the segments don't work is that Angelina's trying to convince Velvet that Katie Lee is there, and if we can see Katie Lee at in these segments, then we know she's there. Why doesn't she turn to the cameraman and say, did you see her? Or why doesn't she tell Velvet to go watch last week's episode of Impact to show her that this is what's going on? Again, because they know they're on a television show, right? But, yeah, other examples. Lita tells the whole world that she's pregnant backstage, but yeah, I have to tell Matt. Well, I think you just did. The bit with Lay Cool last year trying to convince Maria that Dolph Ziggler was cheating on her. A stupid angle if there ever was one. But, yeah, they reveal their whole master plan in front of the camera. Then they execute their master plan, again, in front of the camera. So there are no surprises, no secrets. And then when they try to show Maria the pictures, it's like, oh, look, see, Dolph's cheating on you. Maria's like, well, you know what? I think there's a logical explanation for Dolph's behavior. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, just watch last week's episode of SmackDown and you'll get it. Come on, people. And, if this kind of stuff were going on in a regular television show, like, I watch Big Bang Theory every week. If something like this was to happen on Big Bang Theory, I wouldn't question it. But Big Bang Theory doesn't operate under the same rules that professional wrestling does. And I've had some people tell me that I'm just being too nitpicky or that I'm overanalyzing or whatever, but look, they're breaking their own rules within the fictional universe whenever they do these type of things. And it hurts the believability. And you can only push my suspension of disbelief you can only push it so far. And in a James Bond movie, I can accept that, okay, the villain is just stupid, and yeah, he'll never check the air vents, he'll never kill Bond when he has the chance, and he'll reveal his master plan for no reason other than to just be cocky. It's like, alright, I can understand that. In that universe, it makes sense. In wrestling, I can accept that the referees are the dumbest group of people ever, and they're incompetent to all hell. It's like, alright, the referees in wrestling are stupid, I get it. And the Irish Whip is the dumbest move in the history of fighting. You would never see that in a real fight. If you go into a bar, you'll never see anybody try to grab somebody by one arm and try to fling them into the bar wall. If they try to fling them into a bar wall, they'll probably grab them by the head and just smash their head into it or something. You'll never see an Irish Whip in any form of fight. Even in MMA, you don't see that. But, alright, in the world of wrestling, it makes sense. But this kind of stuff, you're really asking me to swallow some pretty big pills. And to me, these are pretty big plot holes, pretty big discrepancies in the show. And I feel like, and like I've said before, I don't think I'm that smart. I am not a creative genius, and I could not write a wrestling show for a living. I can't do it. A lot of the good stuff that I saw in WCW and WWF in the late 90s, early 2000s, well, not the early 2000s, not so much WCW, but that kind of stuff, the stuff in ECW, the stuff that I saw in the 80s and the WWF and the NWA, I could have never come up with any of that stuff. I'm not that smart. I could not do this for a living. So you have an average schmuck like me who's really nothing more than a fan. How the hell am I able to point out all these holes? And people within the business that do this for a living, they can't point it out. Or if they do point it out, they're just too lazy to do anything about it. It's just another one of those things in wrestling that just bugs me, and I hope changes really soon. And I think if they did change it and made an effort to kind of cut that stuff out, I think it would help the believability of the show, and it would help improve things, you know? Just saying. But yeah, I was going back and watching some of my previous videos, and I realized I have not done a positive one yet. I did that one brief review of the whole effing show that I enjoyed. I did enjoy the whole effing show, and I made that known, but it was, you know, a quick little 2-minute thing. So, at some point soon, I'm going to do a video listing my top 5 favorite things of 2010, and the top 5 things I enjoyed the most. And I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to put in the video. It might be next week's video, or I might even just save it for the end of the year. It's kind of a end of the year type deal, you know. But there have been things about wrestling I have enjoyed in 2010. Some people think, it's like, well, if you hate it so much, why are you a fan? It's like, well, these are the things, when wrestling's done right, and when it is entertaining, it can be really good, and I would like to highlight some of those examples, because there have been stuff to enjoy in 2010. So, I'll get there when I get there, but for now, this is my video for the week. So, later, everybody, and enjoy your weekend.